Hello and welcome to class 8. Today we're going to be discussing nutrients.
So the first nutrient or the first dietary, category we're going to be talking about is carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, they are sugars, starches, and fibers that are found in fruits, grains, vegetables, and milk products. This means that pretty much most of your diet is made of carbohydrates, and they're found in both healthy and unhealthy foods. For example, they're found in bread, beans, milk, but they're also found in popcorn, cookies, soft drinks, corn, and well, I guess corn is not unhealthy, and cherry pie. And this is mainly because carbohydrates include sugars. And starches are also included in carbohydrates, and they're like what I said before, bread, rice, cereal, and vegetables, which are typically healthier for you than sugar. Next slide. So function. So carbohydrates, like I said before, they're a huge part of your diet, which means that they're also the primary fuel source for your brain and body. What that means is basically most of the food that you're consuming is carbohydrates, and therefore most of the energy you're using is also from carbohydrates. And just a little bit of science, I guess. Your body breaks down all the carbohydrates, all the vegetables, all the bread, all the rice, whatever you eat. They break it down to very small components, basically the most basic carbohydrate, which is the sugar glucose. And carbohydrates are also necessary for calcium and phosphorus absorption. What this means is that carbohydrates basically allow you to take in the nutrients from calcium that you get from milk, and those are really helpful in growing and maintaining your bones and teeth. They also are necessary to help digest fats and proteins, which we'll talk about later. And fiber is a special type of carbohydrate that helps promote good digestive health and may lower your risk of heart disease and diabetes. So talking about types, we have two main types. If you look at the little like diagram on the slide, you'll see that we have simple sugars and simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. So simple carbohydrates, you mainly have monosaccharides and disaccharides, and what those basically are one sugars and two sugars, and those are like your tiny components. You can think of them like tiny Lego pieces that make up your complex sugars. So complex carbohydrates. So sugars are a very simple carbohydrate, and you have natural sugars. These are more healthier for you. They're your fruit sugars, like fructose that you get from eating fruit, and they're your milk sugars, like lactose that you get from drinking milk. You also have free or artificial sugars. They're called free sugars because you basically consume them and you get nothing from them. And they're from table sugar. That's basically what you have on your table. It's like the normal sugar that you buy from stores. And then you also have honey, fruit juice, and desserts. These digest easily, they're immediate source of energy, they make you hungry sooner, and they're low in fiber and nutrients. Next slide. So there's also complex sugars, and these are called polysaccharides, which means that they're made of your simple carbohydrates like monosaccharides and disaccharides. And you have starches, which are your bread, potatoes, rice, pasta, and vegetables. And you also have your fiber, which are beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And you can see more examples on the picture of the slide here. And these digest really slowly, which means that they're also a very good source of energy over a long period of time. So normally, if you think of eating bread as opposed to eating like a piece of chocolate, you're gonna get more energy from that piece of bread than from that piece of chocolate. And they're also high in fiber or nutrients, and they make you feel fuller longer, which means you don't have to wait. You can wait longer to eat. And you have insoluble fiber versus soluble fiber. These are basically pretty similar. The only difference is insoluble fiber. You have to make sure you eat. You have to make sure that you're watching how much of it you eat because it can like clog up your digestive system and make it harder for you to digest food. But it is good for your health. It makes digestion easier as long as you eat a good amount. Soluble fiber, they're like what I said before, they're good for your blood cholesterol and they improve blood sugar. Next slide. Just the last slide, just talking about how many carbohydrates you need to eat. Like I said before, carbohydrates are found in pretty much anything you eat, which means that they make up 45 to 65% of your total daily calories. A normal person eats anywhere from like 2,000 to 2,500 daily calories. So hitting around 1,000 is a good range for you. You also want to eat between 225 versus 325 grams per day. And like I said before on the previous slide, you have simple carbohydrates, which are worse for you, and those are like um, sugary drinks or desserts, versus you have better carbohydrates that will help you in more ways than just providing you energy. And those are things like bread, those are things like rice, pasta, any of those. And you can see the comparisons here versus eating a whole plate of vegetables versus eating like one piece of bread. There's things that are better for you, even though they're the same amount of grams.
So now we're going to be talking about vitamins. So vitamins overview. So what are vitamins? Vitamins are like an organic substance that you could get from just eating like meat, fish, fruit, or vegetables. Mainly, most vitamins are received through diet, through your diet. So many of the vitamins that I'll be talking about can be man-made, can be synthetic. Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be found in like organic stuff like fruits or vegetables. Others cannot be man-made and have to be consumed through those organic materials like food. Most of these vitamins are important for the metabolism. Some other vitamins are meant for other functions. Um, these other functions would be heal wounds and improve the immune system. So the first vitamin that we're going to be talking about is vitamin A. The main function of this vitamin is to maintain healthy bones and heal wounds, responsible for the skin overall. This would also include like preventing infections from those wounds, which would be very helpful to your health. So some sources of this vitamin is you can eat from meat like chicken, cows, pork. It could be wild or it could be domestic meat. You can also get from fish too. These are all great sources for vitamin A, and a few vegetables like pumpkin, broccoli, avocado all contain a good amount of vitamin A for you to consume. Vitamin B. So the function of vitamin B is to help maintain cells, which are the main how your nutrients travel around your body. Um, Cells transport those nutrients to major muscles and organs. Also, it also helps with hormone and cholesterol production. If you don't have enough vitamin B, it'll decrease the amount of hormones and cholesterol that is produced, which will have negative impact on your overall mood and health. Proper nerve functions, such as like the nerve endings on your hand or feet, to help you feel things. Maybe even your taste buds may also, yeah, it will also affect your taste buds, which will affect how you taste things. So having proper nerve functions is very important for your everyday life. It also helps with brain function. If you don't have enough vitamin B, it'll your brain won't work as good as it can. So some sources of these vitamin B is dairy products like eggs, cheese, stuff like that. Fish is also a great way on getting the vitamin B, and also meat is also a very good source of vitamin B. Overall, meat and fish are very good sources of all these vitamins since they were once living animals or fish, and the living animals should all have most of them should have the vitamins that we use. So vitamin C. The main function of the vitamin C is to boost the immune system. Um, it can protect against colds, cancer, other types of diseases. Although it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll protect you 100% from these types of diseases, it'll better help you defend against these viruses or sicknesses. So some sources of this vitamin C is vegetables, which include potatoes, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and some fruits also include strawberries, oranges, kiwis, and bananas, which are all very good, concentrated with vitamin C. So vitamin D, the main function of this vitamin is it can help with bones and make it healthier, more stronger, and which will help you like in your daily life. If your bones are too weak, you might be more weak, and you could receive injuries more easily. It can also support your cardiovascular health, which is basically like your lungs and how well you can use oxygen. So vitamin D will definitely help with that. It also improves brain function, as mentioned in the earlier vitamins. It'll help your brain function better. So, the main source of vitamin D is from sunlight. This is different from the other vitamins, which are gotten through eating food, but vitamin D can only be received through sunlight, which is different. So you'll have to go outside to get vitamin D. So vitamin E, the main function of vitamin E is to be an antioxidant, which will protect against like unstable molecules in your body. These unstable molecules will affect your like normal and healthy cells and molecules, and having vitamin E in your body will protect against those types of molecules, which will be very negative to your health and body. The other functions of vitamin E are to support the immune system and prevent blood clot in arteries. The arteries are like your blood vessels that if there's too much like blood cells running through them, the the arteries might clog, and that will lead to other health issues. Some sources of vitamin E are nuts, which can include like sunflower seeds, peanuts, almonds, things like that. So vitamin K. Vitamin K helps prevent help. Sorry, they help with blood clots. This type of blood clot is like different from the vitamin E type of blood clot. These blood clots are used when you get a scratch or get some kind of like wound like that, and your skin is bleeding. Vitamin K helps like uh, help get blood clots to make it stop bleeding. So you don't bleed out in like 4 or 5 minutes and die. This is different from the other vitamins, since the other vitamins have like other benefits for your metabolism and dietary needs. Vitamin K doesn't really give you that, so it's mainly just for helping preventing you from losing too much blood. So some sources of vitamin K is spinach, broccoli, and soybeans.
Okay, so I'm gonna be going over the topic proteins. So proteins, what are they? So proteins are pretty much a large complex molecules that play many critical roles in the body. They are basically made up of hundreds or thousands of smaller units called amino acids, which are attached to one another in long chains. Protein, a highly complex substance that is present in all living organisms. Um, Proteins are of great nutritional value and are directly involved in the chemical process essential for life. The importance of proteins was recognized by chemists in the early 19th century. A protein molecule is uh, very large compared with molecules of sugar or salt and consists of many amino acids joined together to form long chains, such as beads are uh, arranged on a string. There are about 20 different amino acids that occur naturally in proteins. Proteins of similar function have similar amino acid composition and sequence. Although it is not yet possible to explain all of the functions of a protein from its amino acid sequence established between correlation between structure and function, it can be attributed to the properties of amino acids that compose proteins. So, what do proteins function as? So, protein has many um, roles in your body, and it helps repair and rebuild your body's tissue. Your body needs protein to help build and repair muscle, skin, and other body tissues. Protein also helps fight infection, balance body fluids, and carry oxygen through your body. When you have a wound that's healing, think of a food as medicine. Eat a balanced diet with enough calories and plenty of protein. um, Certain horm- hormones along with macronutrient protein synthesize new satellite cells. It allows metabolic reactions to take place and coordinates bodily functions. So examples of protein functions. So there are a total of 7 different protein types, under which all proteins fall into. These include antibodies, contractile proteins, enzymes, hormonal proteins, structural proteins, storage proteins, and transport proteins. So antibodies are specialized proteins that define the body against antigens or foreign invaders. Their ability to travel through the bloodstream enables them to be utilized by the immune system to identify and defend against bacteria, viruses, and other foreign intruders in the blood. One way antibodies counteract with antigens is by immobilizing them so that they can be destroyed by white blood cells. Uh, Contractile proteins. They are responsible for muscle contractions and movement. Examples of these proteins include actin and myosin. Uh, which controls muscle contractions as well as cellular movement and division processes. Myosin powers the tasks carried out by actin by supplying it with energy. Enzymes. They are proteins that facilitate and speed up biochemical reactions, which is why they are often referred to as catalysts. Notable enzymes include lactate and pepsin, proteins that are familiar for their roles in digestive medical conditions and specialty diets. Lactose intolerance is caused by lactose deficiency, an enzyme that breaks down the sugar lactose found in milk. Pepsin is a digestive enzyme that works in the stomach to break down proteins in food, and shortage of this enzyme leads to indigestion. Um, Hormonal proteins. They are messenger proteins that help coordinate certain bodily functions. Examples include insulin, oxytocin, and somatotrophin. Um, Structural proteins. They are uh, fibrous and stringy. Uh, this formation making them ideal for supporting various other proteins such as uh, keratin, collagen, and elastin. Keratin strengthen protective coverings such as skin, hair, clothes, feathers, horns, and beaks. Uh, Collagen and elastin provide support to connective tissues like tendons and ligaments. Storage proteins. So they reserve amino acids for the body until ready for use. Examples of storage proteins include oval albumin, which is found in egg whites, and casein, a milk-based protein. Uh, Ferritin is another protein that stores iron in the transport protein. Um, and transport proteins. They are carrier proteins that move molecules from one place to another in the body. Uh, Hemoglobin is one of these and is responsible for transporting oxygen through the body blood via red blood cells. Cytochromes, another type of transport protein, operate in the electron transport chain as electron carrier proteins. Next slide. How does our body absorb the proteins? So, after researching the stomach, hydraulic acid and enzymes called proteases, break it down to smaller chains of amino acids. So, amino acids are just basically organic compounds that combine to form proteins. And uh, Proteins are the building blocks of life, and when proteins are digested or broken down, amino acids are left. The human body uses amino acids to make protein to help the body break food down. Uh, Protein absorption also happens in your small intestines, which contains uh, microvilli, which these are small finger-like structures that increase the absorptive surface area of your small intestine. This allows for maximum absorption of amino acids and other nutrients. Once they've been absorbed, amino acids are released into your bloodstream, which takes them to cells in other parts of your body so they can start repairing tissue and building muscle. Next slide. How to absorb more protein. So basically, the first step in increasing your protein absorption is choosing whole proteins that contain all 9 essential amino acids, which these include meat, fish, eggs, dairy products. Meat is a very efficient deliverer of protein because the muscles of animals and humans share the same components. Eating animal tissue is an easy way to get this necessary nutrient. Proteins are made up of um wait no so basically they uh kind of like determine the structure and functions of proteins. And for fish, The seafood is a excellent source of protein because it's usually low in fat, and fish such as in salmon is a little higher in fat, but it is the heart healthy kind. It has omega-3 fatty acids. For eggs, they're excellent because with a single large egg containing 6 grams of it, it also contains all essential amino acids in the right ratios, so your body is well equipped to make full use of the protein in them. Dairy products, they are high quality proteins because they contain all essential amino acids as well in sufficient amounts to qualify milk as a good source of protein. Milk is a good complete protein, which means that every glass contains a full mix of the essential amino acids our body needs. For vegetarians, they can kind of work with grains and legumes, grains and eggs, legumes with seeds, grains and dairy. Fun fact, uh, the recommended dietary allowance to prevent uh, deficiency for an average sedentary adult is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. For example, a person who weighs 75 kilograms, 165 pounds, should consume 60 grams of protein per day.
Hello and welcome to my section. I'm going to be talking about fats. Some general facts about fats. There are many different types of fats and they all have different effects on the cells of your body. There are three main sections or mainly types of fats, if you want to put it. You have unsaturated, you have saturated, and you have trans fats. Okay, so for unsaturated fats, usually these fats are the types of which are liquid at around room temperature. And these fats, these are the beneficial fats that will help your body, and these can help your body by improving blood cholesterol levels and ease inflammation, stabilize your heart, and also play multiple roles within your body, providing many different ways of help to your body's functions. And these unsaturated fats, they're primarily found in foods that are plant-based, such as vegetable oils, nuts, and seeds, covered in the next slide. Now, what monosaturated fats, there's monosaturated and you have polyunsaturated. Basically, both of these fats, they are found, for example, both of these fats are good, and monounsaturated fats are found in high concentrations of avocado, olives, peanut, and canola oil. These are also found primarily in nuts and seeds, such as walnuts, tree nuts, those sort of seeds. And yeah, polyunsaturated fats, however, are found in high concentrations in sunflower oil, soybean oil, corn oil, walnuts, fish, and canola oil. You can see that both canola oil is in both of these lists, signifying that canola oil is actually a very good oil to use if you want to have a good quantity of these fats. Next slide, please. So, according to a study, most people don't actually eat enough of these unsaturated fats, and the American Heart Association suggests that people should eat about 8 to 10% of these fats for their everyday calories, and many of this 8 to 10%, it should be primarily polyunsaturated fats. There is also evidence claiming that these polyunsaturated fats, if eaten in excess of about 15% of your daily calorie intake, if you eat more than 50% of your daily calorie intake with polyunsaturated fats, then you have the possibility of getting a lower heart disease risk. All right, so we're now going to jump into saturated fats. Saturated fats are usually in foods containing a mix of fats, and these fats can appear everywhere. They can appear in both unhealthy and even healthy food. These fats appear in chickens, nuts, and small amounts of the saturated fats can also be found in beef, cheese, and ice cream. Saturated fat is mainly found in animal foods. So mainly, as I've probably already mentioned, chicken and beef and those sorts of foods. And unlike unsaturated fats, there are not that many plant-based foods that are high in saturated fats, though there are a couple, such as coconut oil, palm oil, palm kernel oil, and just coconuts in general, actually. In the United States, there are big sources of unsaturated fat all around us. And some of these, of which you might see almost every day, pizza and cheese, that's because of all the fat that you can see dripping off of them, especially when you buy pizza. For example, if I were to pick up the pizza and you look at the box, the cardboard box on the bottom, you see a lot of oil stains. Those are probably some of the unsaturated fats. The saturated fats in the pizza. More such as whole and reduced fat milk, butter, and dairy desserts. Along with that comes some meat products. As I've already mentioned, these saturated fats come in high quantities, especially meat products. And meat products such as sausage, bacon, beef, and of course hamburgers, they are high in saturated fats. So the reason why, as I've already mentioned, they're meat-based. However, to give some example, when you make bacon, when you cook bacon in a pan, usually once you finish cooking bacon, there's a lot of oil on the bacon and inside of the pan of which you cooked it because of all the saturated fats within the bacon itself, causing basically a whole oily mess once you're done cooking it. Hamburgers is generally the same. They have a large amount of oil along with beef and of course sausage. If you've cooked any of these four, then you would notice that there is a high amount of oil usually coming out of the meat in question. Some more products containing these saturated fats include cookies and other grain-based desserts. Now, what I mean by grain-based desserts, I mainly mean the desserts of which are mainly grain-based, of course. And some example of grain-based desserts are probably not really ice cream, but yeah, just around cookies. Anything with mainly dough, bread, those sorts of desserts with those sort of ingredients, usually they are high in saturated fats, or at least have a significant degree. And there's also a variety of mixed fast food dishes of which are high in saturated fats. As I've already mentioned, hamburgers, those are high in saturated fats. Others could probably be, well, probably anything fried. Actually, no, maybe not anything fried, but probably some of the more oily foods of which you find out there are probably very high in saturated fats, and you want to be staying away from these. So, saturated fats. Through decades of dietary advice, it is suggested by studies that saturated fats were harmful to the human body. And however, several studies suggest that eating diets in saturated fats do not actually raise the risk of heart disease. And a couple of reports have analyzed the findings of 21 studies that have followed about 350,000 people for up to 23 years and have found that the tie between saturated fats and heart disease is minimal. However, it is still wise to stay away from saturated fats due to their oily nature. Okay. So now we're going to talk about trans fats. Trans fatty acids are, or more commonly known as trans fats, they are made by heating liquid vegetable oils. And in the present, when you heat these liquid vegetable oils and you put hydrogen gas near them, it causes a reaction, or primarily the hydrogen gas acts as a catalyst to speed up the process. And this process is called hydrogenization. When you do hydrogenization, it causes these vegetable oils to be extremely resistant to hot temperatures, making them ideal for fast food restaurants and the like to be basically, it makes them easy to use, especially in the fast food restaurant setting. Because when you're in a fast food restaurant setting, you are primarily trying to make food, well, as fast as you can. And they're usually frying their food. And with hydrogenization, I'm just going to call it hydrogenization, basically this allows them to do that without really killing the food, basically. And so, yeah. And along with that, hydrogenating the vegetable oil causes them to become basically more stable and less likely to go rancid, playing another factor into how fast food restaurants really like to use these. However, because of the fact that fast food restaurants use these, and they're basically common everywhere inside there, these things have also been proven to cause inflammation, to cause heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and other chronic conditions, of which are extremely harmful for your body, especially your heart. And these diseases are caused primarily by fast food restaurants being so prominent, especially within the American culture. Not only that, these fats, they cause insulin resistance, making them, causing them to make your body more resistant to these to making them more resistant to insulin, basically causing it. And they can have harmful effects on your body, especially even in small amounts. For basically each additional 2% of calories you take in from trans fat. So basically, for every 2% of calories of which you normally would intake, and if those 2% of calories are trans fats, then you increase your risk of coronary heart disease by about 23% every single time that you take 2% more calories from trans fats. And with that, I think we are done with our slides. And if that is so, then I thank you for coming and watching, and have a good day.